Yo, this is Teresa Weatherspoon, better known as Teaspoon, and you're watching Real Fans, Real Talk.
Live from the can. Vibe you can.
This is Real Fans, Real Talk. Real fans, real talk. We as real as you thought. Real fans.
What's going on? Welcome to another live edition of Real Fans, Real Talk. Eric, I think you know where I'm going with this one, man. You see, I'm wearing my blue today because some cats let me down last night, and I was just so disappointed. But we're gonna get into that in just a minute. Let me introduce my co-host, my brother, Eric Sanchez, aka Legend in Two Games. What's going on, man?
What's really good, bro? I feel for you because both your teams let you down yesterday, but that second game,
yeah, I ain't really care about the Giants because I in my picks I had Washington winning that game anyway. Mm-hmm. But I definitely was very upset in the moment, but because it was like everything kind of hit all at one time because it's like, all right, you messed up my tickets.
That's always the most important.
You messed me up in my other fantasy football league because I had Derrick Henry, and I'm like, you know how like when the cat be up and you start ticking away, and Derrick Henry having one of them games, he was having one of them games. I'm like, all right, yo, listen, I know they was going to run the ball. If you just get me another 20 yards, I'll definitely have to stamp on this victory because I ain't worried about T.J. Hawkinson. And the unthinkable happens. If you run that play 99 more times, Derrick Henry does not fumble that football.
I agree.
But one time out of a freaking 100, and that moment in the game, I'm just like, yo, bro, I don't even know what to say, bro. I'm just at a loss for words. I'm so disappointed. Even though I feel like I said, even though like I still like I leave that game with confidence because I'm like, you know what? The reality of that is we win that game. Like I said, I mean, this is the 1 out of 100 time Derrick Henry fumbles in that situation. You know what I'm saying? Or fumbles, period. Like that.
So I'll start here. You started with fantasy. Shout out to Josh Allen. Josh Allen single-handedly won me week 1 of the Real Fans Real Talk League. It was a terrible week 1 in terms of fantasy for me because I had Xavier Worthy who went out after 3 plays. So got nothing from him. I had Jahmyr Gibbs, who did nothing yesterday. So I need, and I would shout out to Sean Fontaine, who I was playing yesterday. He had Lamar playing. So not only did I need a big game from Josh, I needed Lamar to kind of be at least quiet. Lamar was good,
yeah,
but Josh Allen was amazing yesterday. He was great, and he single-handedly swung week 1 for me. So that's that. But the Ravens, and this is why I'm not as confident as you are. We have gotten to a point now where until the Ravens find a way to win one of these big games, this is who they are. And we got to call it like it is. Last year, going into last year's season opener against Kansas City, I felt the same way you felt. There's an opportunity to show that you're ready to take that next step up. Remember, the year prior, they lost to Kansas City in the AFC Championship game. So they got the immediate rematch. And they started off slow, self-inflicted wounds. They lost that game. Everybody remembers it because Isaiah Likely's toe was out of bounds. But early in that game, Lamar had 2 bad turnovers in that game that put them behind the 8 ball, and they were trying to come back to tie the game. And I remember walking away from that game feeling like, you know what, Baltimore's close. They just got to figure out a way to not shoot themselves in the foot so much. Then they did it again in the playoffs last year to Buffalo. They shot themselves in the foot in that game early. Lamar plays a solid game, but again, in a situation against a really good Buffalo team, you got to play a clean game. You can't have the reckless turnovers. So going into last night, we talked about this on Wednesday's live. They had to show that they were ready to take that next step up. It wasn't just about the revenge. It was about just showing we are of the same caliber as you guys. The only difference is if we eliminate the mistakes, we can be better than you guys. And for 3 quarters, that's what it looked like. It looked like the Baltimore Ravens were clearly the best team, not only on the field yesterday, but the best team in football. If Baltimore closes that game out and they finish off strong, I think we're talking today about, hey, the Baltimore Ravens just put the league on notice that they're the best team.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. The defense in that second half was horrible. I hate to separate like this, but because Lamar gets the bulk of the blame if they don't win, in this situation, it's like Lamar damn near did everything he could really to win. Because remember, if you remember, right before the fumble, Lamar runs for the first down.
Mm-hmm.
That very, and I'm like, and I first said it's my fault because I was being greedy because I'm like, damn, come on, Lamar, you can't be taking all the rushing yards away from Derrick Henry. And but then it's like now it's like, well, can I depend on any freaking body? If Derrick Henry's fumbling the football in that situation, like.
And this is why, like I said, until the Ravens actually do it, we are in show and prove mode right now. The Ravens got to win one of these games for me to believe anyway, because at this point, I just feel like it's always someone who is at fault, right? Again, if we go back to the AFC Championship game against Kansas City, they had the turnovers in the red zone. There was one where Zay Flowers was about to go in and he fumbled. Yes. There's the Lamar interception in the end zone. You know what I'm saying? We go back to Mark Andrews and his mishaps. Now you get Derrick Henry. It's like, bro, at some point, you got to kind of, get over the hump. You got to make the plays to prove that you are a Super Bowl caliber team. And right now, I just don't trust it with them. Yeah. I also think what we learned yesterday is a conversation we've had in the past. Josh Allen showed us why he is the MVP of the league, and Josh Allen might be the best quarterback in football right now. When you look at those two teams, Lamar had a good game, but Lamar barely threw for 200 yards. He ran for like another 70 yards, but it was really because of the help that he got from Derrick Henry.
Yeah,
Josh Allen threw for almost 400 yards yesterday, ran for like another 50 plus yards. All the offense is Josh Allen, and when you look at the receivers, you can see a clear difference in what Lamar Jackson has on the field in comparison to what Josh Allen has on the field. Yeah. And that's no knock against Lamar Jackson. It's just when I look at it, I look at a Ravens team that's on paper is much scarier because it's like, if we commit to the run, then Zay Flowers beats us over the top, right? Then Mark Andrews gets going. Now you see D-Hop making one-handed catches on the sideline. They got all those things. When I look at Josh Allen, every time he drops back, it's almost like, is he going to find anybody? Because you got to, who is he going to find somebody that's open? And he does it. He does it over and over again. And again, I think Buffalo, I don't know if Buffalo has enough to go to the Super Bowl. Just watching them yesterday, I don't know if that's a recipe for success, because it reminds me too much of the early Peyton Manning Colts days where Josh Allen has to be perfect for them to win those games. He can't even afford to be off for them to have a chance to win. For the Ravens, not just the fumble, not just them finding another way to lose. Shout out to Will Gordon. But also, if I'm the Ravens or a Ravens fan like you are, Trip, this was a team that invested money in their secondary. They went out and drafted a defensive end in the second round, right? There's all this expectation for this team, and y'all give up 41 points to the Buffalo Bills on opening day. Yeah, and again, it goes back to what I stated. Who are the guys that Josh Allen is throwing to for you to give up 41 points? Like, you can't tell me about all this redemption and revenge, and we so mad about last year, and you let Josh Allen and put up 41 points on you and come back from 15 points twice in this game. Yeah, that to me is embarrassing. Coach Harbaugh's got to do better. The Ravens got to do better as a team. And again, until they show it to me, I'm not believing that they Super Bowl contenders. And I'm not trying to have a hot take. I've seen them lose too many of these games over the last 3 years to fully buy into them being a Super Bowl contender.
Yeah, listen, I can't say nothing to the opposite of that. They got to show and prove. Shout out to Ron Charles. Ron says Cowboys lose to Eagles and CeeDee Lamb with 4 drops. I mean, I think it was a foregone conclusion that the Cowboys was always going to lose to the Eagles in that game. So that wasn't really a big surprise. And then when you added on the fact that, they, traded Micah Parsons, a couple of days before, I don't think anybody except for Cowboy homers thought that the Cowboys were going to win this game. Now, it may have, I'm not going to say it probably definitely messed up a lot of people's tickets once was Jalen Carter gets ejected out of that game because he's talking about, arguably the best defensive tackle in football, and that changes a lot on that defensive line if he's not in the game. So, because I thought that the Eagles would cover the spread, but then once I saw that happen, I'm like, oh, it's going to be, a little bit closer than everybody thinks this game is going to be. And they're actually in a position to still win this game if CeeDee Lamb doesn't drop that pass downfield from Dak Prescott. We may even be looking at a different outcome to this game.
The drops were critical in this game. To me, I pointed at two things that I think were more impactful. The fumble by Miles Sanders at a point when the Cowboys were kind of moving the ball up and down the field, and then that leads to that thunderstorm delay, which I think the thunderstorm delay hurt more than anything because that's not a normal routine that you go through where now you go back to the locker room for an hour and then you got to get started up again. Yep. You know what I'm saying?
Body going again.
Yeah. And so I know some people were saying, oh, the drops are because he didn't play in the preseason. And yeah, maybe so. But I just think that time, like when you step away from the field and you allow your body to calm down and the adrenaline to calm down, and then now kind of get yourself worked back up, that's an unnatural situation for all these players. And I think you saw it from both sides. First half, we had 41 points on the board. Second half, we had 3 points on the board. And then again, that 3 points came on the Eagles' first possession. The Cowboys fumbled with the Miles Sanders midway through the third. And then the rest of the game was 3 and out, 3 and out. Like neither team was able to get their rhythm or momentum after that. So I think that was a big part of that. For the Cowboys, though, I don't know what to make of this game for them. Because, yes, I did agree with them trading Micah Parsons, but I didn't expect them to beat Philadelphia. And I don't know if they even hang in this game if Jalen Carter's not in the game. If you look at what they did early on with the running game with Javonte Williams, that was a product of the fact that Jalen Carter was not in the middle of that defensive line. If he's there and he's on the field and he's clogging up all that space in the middle, I don't think the Cowboys run the ball the way they do, and I don't think they get off to the quick start the way they did in that game. So I'll be interested to see how much of what the Cowboys did translates and transfers over to that next game. I know they're not playing the Eagles next. They get the Giants. They'll be able to do some things against the Giants. But I want to see if they can still keep that same rhythm because I think a lot of that was a cause because Jalen Carter was not on the field.
Yeah. Let's talk about it. Jalen Carter ejected for spitting on Dak Prescott. It just can't happen. Granted, I mean you don't never want it to happen. It shouldn't happen. Period. Luckily for you guys, this is the first game of the season. And you still get the W, but this is something that can't happen. Complete immaturity on Jalen Carter's behalf. He's definitely gonna have to do better because you could have cost your team a division game right there. And you know how important these division games come when we get later in the season, when we're looking at tiebreakers and division leads and things like that. So if you're Jalen Carter, you just got to do better. There's no excuse for doing what you did. It's happened now, so I think it's just a situation where it's like, all right, apologize, move on, and don't ever let some stupidness like that happen again.
Yeah, I thought it was disgusting. I thought it was really whack of Jalen Carter to do that. I don't care. There's nothing unless something wild disrespectful was said by Dak or something took place before the game that we didn't see. You spitting on that man as y'all trash talking, like that shit was whack to me. I hope he doesn't get suspended, but I wouldn't be surprised if the league does suspend him because again, that happened on a nationally televised game to start this season. Mm-hmm. That isn't the type of publicity that you want as the NFL. I think the NFL was already a little upset with the Eagles anyway because the Eagles were not out on the field for the banner ceremony. That was a team decision. They said, we're not going to watch the banner go up because we want to focus on this year. We don't want to get caught up on celebrating last year. So I think the NFL was already a little salty about that because you prepared the celebration for the team that now says they don't want to take part in it. But then to have Jalen Carter do that before the game starts,
just adding on. Will Gordon says, I had 3 parlays going, and all 3 had Carter getting to the quarterback.
Yep.
But yeah, that's what I'm saying. The parlays definitely took a hit on that because, he's a huge difference maker for the Eagles defense. And to not have him on the field, it's possible you could have cost the Eagles that game. Him, just him.
Mhm.
He's that much of a difference maker that you could potentially have cost the Eagles the game. And you know, you're a CD Lamb drop pass away from the Cowboys actually coming back and possibly winning this thing.
Yeah.
If he's there, the Cowboys have to change everything they're doing.
I think again the early success the Cowboys had is directly tied to Jalen Carter not being on the field, because I don't think Javonte Williams would have been able to run the ball the way he did if Jalen Carter's there.
No, not at all. Difference maker. All right, Kyrie, let's do it. Let's get it out the way. You know, I kind of spoke about it a little bit, but yes, last night more about Bills comeback or Ravens collapse. Man, it might be both. To be honest with you, it might be about both of those two things, because again, Eric kind of mentioned this earlier. We have seen this before from the Baltimore Ravens. They are making errors, turnovers, drop passes, all of these things in these big key games, which are the games that is going to have the, this is a Super Bowl contending team. And Eric said that earlier. So we have the recurrence with Baltimore. They have to get over themselves. Obviously the worst part of that was the Derrick Henry fumble, because that is a situation where it's like, all right, if that play does not happen, Baltimore wins this game, and we're not even having this conversation right now, because Eric, as you know, winning brushes all that other stuff out of the way. If Derrick Henry runs that football, doesn't fumble, they're able to run out the clock, and Baltimore gets the win. What are we talking about here? Because when we come in now, we're going to say the Ravens are who they said they were. They're a legitimate Super Bowl contender. They can beat you in different ways. Derrick Henry had a monster of a game outside of that, that one play. And then on the other side of that, yeah, it is also about the Bills' comeback, because they just kept fighting. Josh Allen kept finding no-name receiver after no-name receiver after no-name receiver, and they kept moving the football. James Cook contributed as he did last season, had a very solid game for the Buffalo Bills. But the reality of the situation is, outside of James Cook, I really don't know these guys like that. The rest of the receiving corps. Dalton Kincaid, the tight end is all right, but he's not somebody. I don't think anybody had him in his top 5 tight ends. I don't even know if anybody had him in the top 10 at the tight end position. I can't really say. I just know who he is because he's been around for a little while. But the rest of these receivers, and I'm saying this respectfully because it's a lot of younger guys. They have a younger receiving core, but Josh Allen found guys after time after time after time, and they did not quit. The offense was clicking, and they are able to come back and get the win. You got to tip your hat to those guys.
For me, it was more about the Ravens collapse. And that's not to take anything away from the Buffalo Bills. But again, we heard all week that the Ravens want the revenge for the way their season ended last year. And for Buffalo, I think we know Buffalo's a legit Super Bowl contender. We've seen them go toe-to-toe with Kansas City multiple times. Mm-hmm. So we know who they are. For Baltimore, they've been the team that's had like the flameouts in the playoffs and the mistakes and the bad performances. And in order for them to kind of get over the hump, they gotta put that behind them and play better in these big moments. So for them to collapse, it's almost a reminder of what's taken place the last couple of years in the playoffs. It's a reminder of who the Ravens have been the last couple of years when we've been ready to give them the throne as the best team in the NFL. So that's why to me it's more about the collapse. It's a great comeback by Buffalo. But as you mentioned, if there is no fumble, there is no opportunity for a comeback. So that's why to me it has to be about the Ravens.
Yeah. Why can't Lamar Jackson and the Ravens win a big game? If I knew the answer to that one, Kyrie, I would. First of all, if I knew the answer, I'd call Lamar Jackson up my damn self and tell him, "Yo, this is what it's gonna take." You know what I'm saying? But I don't, man. And again, I think last night's game was you know, came down to a very, very unfortunate situation again that doesn't normally happen for them. You know, and I said this earlier. You run that play with Derrick Henry 100 times. That was the only time he was going to fumble was then and right then and there. It's just not like this is something. It's not like this is. You know, you remember Tiki Barber used to have problems with the way he was holding the football and he fumbled a lot. Derrick Henry does not fumble the football like that. So this is not, you know what I'm saying? This is not a regular occurrence where you like, well, yeah, he good for a fumble every once in a while. No. So, you know, this is something that was unfortunate, a fluke kind of a situation that cost him the game. But because I still got to give Buffalo their credit, if you don't put yourself in a position where you're letting these guys keep running up the field on you and putting up points to continue to come back in this game, it don't even matter if Derrick Henry fumbles in that situation because you're too far ahead for you to even care. He could have fumbled the football and turned it over if they stopped him on the last drive, or the drive before that, or the drive before that. Simple.
Yes, it's a couple of things with the Ravens. Like we talked about, it's the, you know, the miscues, obviously the fumble. It's the defense. You know, even looking at the box score this morning, it's like there was no quarter going into the fourth quarter where the Bills scored more than 7 points.
Yeah.
And then for whatever reason in the fourth, you let them score 22 points. So for whatever reason, either the Ravens defense let up, they got tired. Possibly they got tired first game of the season, or just a genuine collapse.
I don't want to hear that.
No, I don't want to hear that either. Now, is that a real thing? Yes, it's a real thing because a lot of these teams don't play preseason football. So the conditioning is a little different. You might be in game shape, but you might not be ready to be out there for 50 to 60 snaps.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You might, your body starts cramping up, your body, you know, different situations. And then it's a primetime game. So the routine and the warm-up is a little different to start the season. I think if you ask the Eagles and the Cowboys, if you ask the Chargers and the Chiefs, they'll say the same thing. When you're used to playing at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and now you're playing an 8 o'clock game where you've been sitting around most of the day and your routine gets thrown off, it's easy for you to start feeling a little like, all right, maybe the legs are a little heavy. Maybe I'm a little tired. But whatever the case may be, there's still no excuse for blowing that type of lead and giving up 41 points.
Yeah. Lamar Jackson shoves fan who slapped him on the helmet. Keep your hands to yourself. Don't start no shit. Won't be no shit. That's all I can say to that. Don't stop touching people. That's your damn problems now. Y'all want to touch everybody. You want to say what the hell you want to say. You want to do what you want to do. Stop touching these people. Stop spitting at them. Stop dropping racial epithets at them. Stop. Be a fan. Stay in a fan's place. Enjoy the game. Don't touch nobody. You're not even a Ravens fan. The hell you touching Lamar Jackson and DeAndre Hopkins for anyway? That's your problem. Y'all want to be, you feel like because you sit that close, you're a part of the game. You're not a part of the game. Don't touch the players. You're not on the field. Your name is not, what's my man name, Rousseau? Was it with Greg Rousseau, the lineman from Buffalo? Mm-hmm. That's not you. Don't touch the players. Don't touch Lamar Jackson. Don't touch DeAndre Hopkins. Stop touching people. Keep your damn hands to yourself, and this won't happen.
Yeah, pretty much.
It is what it is. Caitlin Clark has finally been officially out for the rest of the WNBA season. They drug this thing out as long as they possibly could. I joked last week. I said if they could, they'd keep it the suspense going until the first round of the playoffs if they could. But eventually the season is coming to an end, and yeah, you're gonna have to start letting people know because they are still in the playoff race, and people are going to be upset if they start buying playoff tickets based off of the fact that there's still this assumption that Caitlin Clark may play, and then Caitlin Clark ain't playing in the playoffs. Some people are going to be highly upset after they spend thousands of dollars on tickets to go to those games. And then, oh, wait, yeah, we forgot to tell y'all Caitlin ain't coming.
Yeah. It was the worst kept secret in the WNBA. We talked about it here for weeks.
Yeah.
The type of injury it was, there was no way she was going to come back as quickly as they originally speculated. So we knew it was going to take some time. And like I said, this was the business side of it to say, all right, now it's opportunity, like you said, before we get into the playoffs and people start putting out hopes and buying tickets, and it affects different things. So rest up, get healthy, and be better next year.
Exactly. Pooh, what up? Pooh says Mike Tyson versus Mayweather. Who y'all got? I hate seeing these legends fight after their prime. Don't want to see this fight. I'll tell you that right now. This is the dumbest cash grab I have ever seen in my damn life. This I didn't think you could top Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson, but y'all went and topped Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson.
I don't even think the fight's gonna happen.
I hope it don't happen, because this like now, this is ridiculous, bro.
I don't think the fight's gonna happen. Mike Tyson got serious health issues. Remember, they postponed the first time he was supposed to fight Jake Paul.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a boxing commission that's gonna approve this fight. So I think it's like you said, it's a cash grab. It's a great way to draw attention. But don't be surprised if this fight never happens, because I just can't see any doctor or boxing commission approving this fight knowing Mike Tyson has legitimate health issues. And they already, when they made the announcement, they said it was going to be an exhibition. So if it is truly an exhibition, then all it is a glorified sparring match. Yeah, they'll have headgear on, right? They'll have headgear on. It'll be in a big ring with bigger gloves. Nobody is approving this fight. Like I said, it's too much. It's too many factors in for any real boxing commission to approve it.
You know what I start thinking about? Like, when I see these fights happen, these BS cash grab fights happen, I start thinking about Rocky versus Hulk Hogan. Was Rocky 3? I think that was when he fought Hulk Hogan, and Hulk Hogan is trying to body slam him in the ring. This is what I think of, because this is a joke.
They're not gonna fight.
I hope it doesn't happen, but if that was to get sanctioned, it's like, come on, man. Like, y'all this is why people feel like boxing is a dying sport, because y'all got to do stupid nonsense like this.
I get that part of the trip, right? But I think we got to put everything in its proper context. I don't want to see the fight. If it's a true exhibition, that's all it is. It's an exhibition. It's not like belts are on the line. This isn't for any ranking. This is no different than if two NBA legends decided to go on the court and play one-on-one for exhibition on YouTube.
I never want to see a heavyweight fight or middleweight.
I get that, but if tomorrow, hold on, but let me ask you a question. But if tomorrow Overtime Elite say, yo, we're gonna have a one-on-one game between Tim Duncan, I don't want to use Tim Duncan, I'm trying to use somebody flashier. But let's say they said that Kevin Garnett and Tracy McGrady gonna play a one-on-one game to 11. Is it real NBA? No, it's not real NBA. But would you tune in just because it's legends? Probably. Yeah. So it's the same thing.
But they're not kicking the shiznick out of each other.
And neither will these two. I promise you, it's going to be a glorified exhibition.
You're right.
It's going to be a glorified exhibition. That's all it's going to be.
Right.
When Mike Tyson fought Jake Paul, did he take any punishment?
No, but yeah.
So how could Floyd Mayweather punish him?
I don't think Floyd Mayweather.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Mike Tyson, but I feel like if Mike Tyson caught Floyd with one of them power punches, because he still got some power,
he's not gonna catch him.
But I think it's just a joke, and I'm over it already, bro.
I'm gonna tell you right now, and it's not a popular opinion, just because of what he means to the culture. Mike Tyson might be the most overrated heavyweight ever. Mike Tyson has no quality wins under his belt, but we glorify Mike Tyson because of what he meant to the culture at his peak. Who's the best fighter Mike Tyson ever beat? Let me know. Comment section. Let me know.
Yeah, y'all gonna have to do your homework on that one. I'd have to look at the
none. I mean, unless we're gonna say Leon Spinks when he first won a title, but Leon Spinks was already in his 30s at that point. Mike Tyson was the young boy. Leon Spinks
was 20 or 19, something like that. 19,
20. Yeah, but Mike was great for the culture because what he represented. But in terms of being a fighter, he wasn't a great heavyweight. He lost to Lewis. He lost to Evander Holyfield. Any big name fighter that he fought, he lost to them.
Now, that was post prison, because I believe those fights came after he got.
Well, I mean, even prior to prison, again, there's no Hall of Famers on his resume.
Well, who were the Hall of Famers at the time that he?
None. He came up when the heavyweight division was in a transitional phase. Larry Holmes was old and leaving the sport. Leon Spinks was the champ. Leon Spinks was in a dominant heavyweight. Mike took over at a time when it was void of true heavyweights. Now, he loses, obviously, in Tokyo to Buster Douglas.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know.
We know what's going on with that one.
Right. But I'm saying it creates the spiral and the downfall of Mike Tyson's career. But then when he came back, again, we're talking about a situation where he could not beat the elite fighter. So you look at his resume, and again, I'm not knocking what Mike meant to the culture. But if we're talking just the sport, this is why, and I'm saying this to say, oh yeah, does Mike have power? Yeah. Mike ain't catching Floyd Mayweather. You telling me the greatest defensive fighter that we've seen of our generation over the last 50 years, whose skills are still sharper now than Mike's are now. He's not catching him. If he couldn't catch Jake Paul, he's not catching Floyd Mayweather.
No, because Floyd is gonna run around the ring.
Floyd is just gonna box him to death. Floyd's gonna keep a distance and box him to death. And like I said, and that's also why they label it as an exhibition, because they're gonna be wearing headgear and they're gonna be wearing like 16-ounce gloves. So it's gonna be like a pillow fight, pretty much.
Yeah.
Mike will gas out as any man who's almost damn near 60 years old in the ring would. He'll gas out, and then Floyd will just be able to do his song and dance in the ring, and that'll be it. So is it a joke? Yeah, if they try to label it like it's a legit fight, yes, it's a joke. Absolutely, it's a joke. But if you're telling me it's an exhibition, it's no different. Like I said, if Kevin Garnett got on the field tomorrow and said, "Yo, I'm playing Tracy McGrady to a game of 11," it's no different. They're not going crazy at each other. They're gonna go out there. They're gonna try to compete a little bit, and then they're just gonna make fun of it.
Kevin Garnett gonna go crazy because that's
as crazy as he could go, but at some point you still gonna gas out. You still going.
Oh yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like you still gonna he'll be solid for like the first 5 or 6 buckets. After that, it's gonna be a lot of heavy breathing. It's gonna be a lot of slow it down. It's gonna be let's relax. So it ain't much gonna happen.
All right, so let's talk about the other elephant in the room, Jake Paul versus Tank Davis now, because here we've been asking and we've been saying we're tired of you fighting Boxcar Charlie. Fight a real boxer. You're definitely fighting a real boxer with Tank Davis. Now, my only problem is we still are not able to walk away from this fight and have a legitimate assessment on where Jake Paul actually is as a fighter, because you're not fighting someone in your weight class. So I still can't even look at this as a real fight, even though it might be, go on their records, but I can't look at this as anything more than just an exhibition, because you're not fighting at the same weight class. And you're not trying to fight at the same weight class.
No, I agree with that. But I in this case, I think I'm more critical of Tank Davis than I am Jake Paul.
What's up?
So I'll wait to see who's actually on the fight card, because I think Jake Paul is just using this as an opportunity to promote MVP promotions and whatever fighter he has that night. It's the same thing he did when he fought Mike Tyson. Everybody made a big stink about it, but really the real gem of the night was Amanda Serrano. Right, yes. It was really to promote and give her the platform, and it was the most views that they had ever seen, and all 3 of their fights have broken all types of records. But I'm more critical of Tank Davis because weeks prior to this, Tank Davis had thrown out the tweet that he was retiring from the sport of boxing, and a couple weeks prior to that, he canceled the fight against Jeremy Roach, who deserves a rematch. Tank Davis has gone on multiple platforms when he's talked about his career, and has openly said, I'm not in this for belts. I'm in this for the money. I'm in it to make the biggest fights possible. And I respect that. And if you look, Tank Davis is a pay-per-view star without actually being a champion. He is not no unified champion. He is not he's not a major champion of any of the major belts. And he has never chased that. He's let it be known, I'm in it for the money. Cool. But he's also said, and he's been very selective about who he fights because he said himself, I'm a natural 130, 135 pound fighter. So for me to go up to 140, 147, it's got to be done the right way because he's small in stature. And so for him to put on that weight could change the
5'6", I think.
Right, 5'6", right. So him putting on the weight changes the dynamic of the type of fighter he can be.
Yeah.
Again, I respect that. He's used that logic as to why he did not want to fight Teofimo Lopez. He used that logic as to why he made Ryan Garcia come down and weight when they fought.
It's 5'5".
It's one of the reasons that him and Boots Ennis have not got it on because Boots Ennis prefers to fight at 140 or 147 and Tank doesn't want to go up that high, right? Mm-hmm. So Tank has played these games, but now you're taking on Jake Paul, who is about 7 inches taller than you and outweighs you by about 60 to 70 pounds. So to me, I'm more critical with Tank because you are the legitimate fighter. You are the people's champion. Again, you're not an actual world champion, yet we view you as such. We support you and we buy the fights and we look forward to seeing you fight. And not only are you not giving Roach his rematch, his well-deserved rematch, you don't want to negotiate with Shakur. You don't want to negotiate with Devin Haney. You don't want to negotiate with Teofimo Lopez. You don't want to negotiate with.
I mean, that would be a walk in the park. So I wouldn't.
It doesn't matter. But see,
I don't know why he wouldn't do that one because it would be a walk in the park.
But that's what I'm saying. Like to me, it doesn't matter. There are legitimate fighters at 135, 140, 147 that Tank Davis could fight and make big money on. But he's choosing this route knowing that this is, again, is it going to be viewed as a legitimate fight? No, it's not going to be viewed as such.
Because the weight classes. Now, what you're saying is true, right? However, one thing that you also said is that Tank Davis is in it for the money and not for the belts. I don't care which one of them dudes you put Tank Davis in front of, he's not going to make more than he's about to make on this Jake Paul fight. That's why I was okay with when Cass was like, you know, oh, he's ducking, or Jeremy Roach was like, he's ducking, whoop-de-whoop. I'm like, bro, listen, the amount of money he's about to make over this fight, you can call it what the hell you want to call it. But if you're someone who has flat out said, I am in this for the money, then I cannot be mad that you would take 100. What is it? What are you supposed to be getting from the site?
The numbers have not officially been released.
But it's gonna be.
He'll probably get 100 mil guaranteed.
Yes, and it'll probably be well higher than any fight he could possibly have with a respectable boxer in his weight class or weight class up or weight class below.
I don't necessarily agree with that.
I think he's gonna make 100 million from who? What fighter?
I think if him and Shakur got it on, that's $100 million fight.
I don't know if Shakur got a big enough name for that to be 100.
I think so. I think
what did Shakur make his last 5 fights?
I would have to look at the actual numbers of what he made, but I think that because Shakur has the following, and Shakur is viewed as the most technically sound boxer in the game, and it would be the perfect contrast of styles. You would have Tank, who's the explosive fighter, who you know at any moment can knock somebody out, against Shakur, who's the technical fighter, who's the guy who's looking to box you to death for 12 rounds. And I think there's enough fans on each side to drive that fight home. There's a lot of money. I mean, Ryan Garcia and Tank, when they fought, I believe they were guaranteed 40 million. That was before any other numbers came in. I think him and Shakur could do better numbers than that.
Shakur hasn't made more than 3 million on a fight. It ain't gonna jump from that to 100 million.
But name me the guys he fought.
That who Shakur's fought?
Right.
I mean, obviously none of them have the name that Tank has, but Tank ain't getting that kind of money either. I don't see them.
Yes, he is. Tank is getting big numbers for these fights.
Not 100 million.
Well, again, Tank has avoided the bigger names as well. I think if you put Tank and Ryan Garcia
is probably the biggest fight, right? As far as names.
And before they even stepped in the ring, they was both guaranteed at least 40 million. That was before you.
That's 60 million away from 100.
No. What I'm saying is you're already before you even start calculating any of the back end money, you're already at 40 million. That's before you start splitting up the gate. That's before you start splitting up the merchandise, the promo runs. So there's so many other aspects of it that draw in the extra money. When they say 40 million guaranteed, they saying, look, that's the baseline number we're starting with. when we run the numbers on everything else, you're probably going to add another 40 to 50 million on top of that, because that's where the real money comes in. The real money comes in from the views, from the sponsorships, right? When Floyd Mayweather promoted the fight against Pacquiao, then he never in his career he really had done it. You look, then he sells advertising space on the trunks. He makes another $5 or $6 million just on advertisements. Like the same thing's going to happen if Tank and Shakur were to fight. So
yeah, I think it would be a great fight. I think it will be a mega fight, but they're not going to scratch nowhere near 100 million though.
yeah, but we move the goalposts when it comes to Tank because we like Tank. If we're critical of Jake Paul, who's been boxing for 6 years, right? And we keep saying, oh, he hasn't fought a real boxer. Tommy Fury is a real boxer. Julio Cesar Chavez is a real boxer, right? Now, and he's fighting boxers based on where his skill set is. He can't, of course, Jake Paul can't get in there with world champions right now. He only been boxing 6 years.
Yeah, no.
Right? But then we're not critical of Tank for doing the exact same thing. Tank has cherry-picked a majority of his fighters based off of, oh, this is a cakewalk. When he fought Jeremy Roach, he was a 20-1 favorite to beat Jeremy Roach. Nobody was giving Jeremy Roach a chance. And then Jeremy Roach hangs with him, and they get a draw, and now he don't even want to give him a rematch.
Well, listen, that's the thing. Listen, I'm not denying the fact that we should be more critical of Tank. My thing is, there's not a fight in boxing with someone who's of his echelon of fighter that's going to pay him anything near the money that he's going to get for this fight. Now, he can go back and come back around, but it's not going to be that. He's not going from 40 million with the biggest name probably in that realm, which would be King Ryan, and he hasn't made that, and now he's going to jump for Shakur, who doesn't have half the following that Ryan Henry has. It's just not going to happen. There's no other. I mean, maybe if you're like, all right, he's going to fight Terrence Crawford, you could possibly get up there, but even with that, Terrence Crawford is fighting Canelo, who is arguably the biggest draw in boxing, and he's not getting 100 million.
And so, still, like I said, Tank is toying with the idea of I don't want to fight. I don't want to take any challenges.
You want to get paid. You trying to get paid.
Yeah, but it's crazy again, right? We get mad at older fighters for doing this, but meanwhile, Tank is 29, 30 years old, and he's been doing this for 3 years now. It's different. I can understand if Tank been through the wars and he got the wear and tear on him, and then it's like, yo, I'm gonna kind of be a little more selective about my fights moving forward. Tank already was only fighting once a year.
Yeah, but I'm not disagreeing with you, and I agree with you 1,000%.
I just think that we should be more critical of Tank than Jake Paul. Oh, Jake Paul is an entertainer. At the heart of it, he's always just been an entertainer.
Yes. In boxing, I want to see, and you know this, Eric, I want to see the best possible fights. I want to see Tank versus Shakur. I want to see Tank versus Teofimo Lopez. I wouldn't mind seeing a rematch with Tank and Ryan Garcia. You know what I mean? Like, I want to see all of these fights, but if we have a fighter who is saying, I don't care about the belts, I only care about the money, this is what we're going to get. He's going to take. If I was him, I'm taking the Jake Paul fight too.
We should, but like I said, I think that we should be very critical of that. Yes, I think those are all things that we should be critical and call him out on. To me, we're
not breaking him. I'm not putting Tank in like in my top 10 fighters of all time. We
started this convo centered around what Jake Paul hasn't done, right? We started off by saying, "Oh, Jake Paul, he hasn't fought real boxers." I don't agree with that. I think Jake Paul has fought competition that's up to the level where he's at. He can't go in the ring against a world champion just yet, because that goes back to what we've always talked about. You have to take the natural progression of fighting the other fighters that are beneath. So when he fights Cesar Chavez, when he fights Tommy Fury, he's fighting other guys that are beneath. Now they have a name, right? We know their name because of their family lineage. But
yeah, I'm gonna say because Tommy Fury, we only know him because of his
because of the lineage, and that's fine, right? But on the flip side, we got a guy like Tank, who, to me, I think what he's doing is a bigger disservice to the sport. You're sitting there in the prime of your career. Devin Haney was just on All the Smoke Boxing, and he talked about how they've tried to negotiate with Tank, but it's really gone nowhere. He said openly, he said that I'm not going to say like we sent the contract, but we've tried to get the conversations going, and Tank just doesn't seem interested in it. So what is he to do? If Shakur Stevens has called him out and you don't want to fight Shakur, what is Shakur to do?
So now here'll be my response to that, right? If I run the numbers on this fight and it ain't hitting, then I'm gonna go to the next opportunity, right? Because
you're giving it a chance, though. If you're not even willing to at least talk to them, and be like, yo, realistically, because Devin Haney said, right, in that same interview, he talked about how they had the rematch lined up for Ryan, but obviously Ryan loses the Times Square fight.
Yes.
So then they circled back and they started looking at other opponents that they could fight. They were trying to make the fight with Teofimo Lopez, but Teofimo Lopez is going up in weight, so they couldn't make that fight happen. In all those instances, Devin Haney said the baseline number we were starting with was about 20 million because the Sheik was willing to put up money for two big names at that lightweight division to go at it. Devin Haney and whoever else. Obviously, they wanted it to be Haney and Garcia at a rematch. That couldn't happen, so they were exploring other options. In that conversation, Devin Haney states, we've reached out to Tank a couple of times. He won't even start the convo with us. So,
like, don't nobody want to see that now after you got your ass whipped by Ryan Garcia, whether he was on something or not. But nobody want to see Devin Haney
fight. Nobody wanted to see the Roach fight.
Yeah. And I mean, what was going to be the difference in the fight person on that fight versus Devin Haney?
But that's what I'm saying. So we making excuses for Tank because if one hand we're going to say, oh, nobody want to see Devin Haney because he got his ass beat. Devin Haney is still a world champion. Devin Haney is still one of the top ranked lightweights in the world. Yeah. Roach was not of that stature.
No, I just not a fight I want to see either.
All right, but Roach gave him a good fight, and now you don't even want to give him the rematch. Now, if the roles were reversed and Roach would have got the decision that night, Tank would have wanted an immediate rematch.
Of course.
So this what I'm saying. Like, to me, Tank is playing with the sport. That's why to me, I'm more critical of Tank, and I'm a huge fan of Tank Davis. But to me, it's a bozo move. You can't fight Jake Paul after you sat for years and said, I don't want to go up to 140 because that just might be too much weight for me to go up to. But now you're willing to fight a guy who naturally fights at 180, 190?
Yeah, because the bag is there. I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying.
It's a clown move.
I've just been saying this whole time. I agree with everything you're saying. But if it's coming from a fighter who has told you that he is for the money, then this is what you're going to get. It's just nothing you're going to do about it. He told you he don't care about the belts. He cares about the money. So yes, I'm going to take $100 million and go fight Jake Paul versus step in the ring with Haney, Shakur, Roach, whoever the hell else who's not going to pay me nowhere near what I'm going to get because I've told y'all I'm about the money. It's a bozo move. I agree.
So then, like I said, then we got to be, to me, we got to be even more critical of Tank than we would Jake Paul. Because Jake Paul came into the game as an entertainer.
Yeah.
So, again, if we're going to be critical of Jake Paul, then let's have that same criticism. Yo, what you're doing, Tank, is a bozo move. We can sit here and criticize Floyd and Tyson for talking about doing an exhibition at their age, right?
Yeah, but that's because I'm more concerned for health reasons.
Okay, but at their age, that's what you would do. This is a money grab, right?
Not when you're in your prime of your career.
Right, not when you're in your prime.
But
again, you walking away from major fights because it's like, oh, I'm not doing that.
We're in a different era, though. Remember, what you and I might do for Tank, who's what, 15 years younger than us? That's a different era. That's a different generation. They do things differently.
As Will Gordon and I said,
it's a different era we dealing with.
I mean, like I said, I hate to sound like the guy, get off my lawn. It's just, to me, I think it's whack. But I guess I feel that way because I am a fan of Tank.
Yeah,
so that's what I'm saying. Like, why are you going down this path? Right. Why are you going down this path?
Because we know why he's going down, because it's all about the money. He don't care about nothing else. That's who Tank is. He don't care about nothing but the money. He don't care what you say, none of that stuff. If you paying me this, all right, I'll be there. I can't get this from you, I won't be there. And that's how he just rocking.
Yeah.
That's the sad part about it. But that's why I was saying earlier, this is why people are going to say boxing is a dying sport, because you have things like this where you have a fighter who is a fan favorite, who is in the prime of his career, who will say, "Man, F all these dudes. That's the real competition. I'm gonna go take this $100 million from Jake Paul. What can we do?" You know what I mean? Ron Charles says, "What statement did the Packers defense make?" They here. We're a notable defense. I believe you and I kind of spoke about them last week. And then now, obviously Micah is going to be incorporated into that defense eventually. But we also spoke about the Detroit Lions offense and how they were one of the, if not, the top offense in football with the weapons that they have with St. Brown and Jameson Williamson getting better year by year, Gibbs, and all those guys in Detroit. And because now you remember, they're without their Pro Bowl defensive tackle. Micah doesn't play.
Micah played yesterday.
He played, okay.
Yeah, they had certain packages in for him.
He didn't play the full,
No. They had certain, like I said, certain moments in the game, pass rush situations, certain packages, like defensive packages. They didn't move him around as much. I think he only lined up over center one time. Most of the time they let him, split out wide. So there wasn't enough time to implement.
Full playbook yet.
Right.
Right. So you don't have him. You don't have your all-pro cornerback, Jai Alexander anymore because he's playing in Baltimore. And you still come in and you stop a high-powered offense like the Detroit Lions, and we all know what they were able to accomplish last season, winning the division. And they came out and again, this is a division game, so these games are always going to be tougher. They're always going to be closer. But they showed up. I like what I saw from them this week. I still need to see more. Because again, this is a division game, and these are the teams that you know very well. You're very comfortable playing these, the teams within the division.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think this is something that will be sustained. I like what I saw from them. I liked what I saw from the offense as well. And this is a very big, very quality win for the Green Bay Packers and a great way to start the season.
It's a good win for them because obviously the Lions have run that division the last 3 years. So now you kind of send a message. For the Packers, there's high expectations. They were in the playoffs last year. They won 11 games. They were a little hurt. Now they feel like they're healthy, and obviously the addition of Micah gives them a legitimate shot. To start the season, they had the third best odds of winning the NFC. So this was a statement game, but I'm not going to put too much on this game because I think they were emotionally just charged up for this game a little bit more than the Lions were. The Lions did look a little bit out of sorts, and it's not to make excuses, but sometimes you can get one team that's just a little more up for the game than the other team. It might be a little bit more. Right. It might be a little more for them because it's Green Bay at home to start the season against the division champs from the last couple of years. So it was a good game, good win for the Packers. It'll be interesting to see what they look like on Thursday because it's a quick turnaround. And I thought it was a little unfair that they would be scheduled for the 4:00 game on Sunday and then not have to play Thursday. You know what I'm saying? They got to play on Thursday, but we're gonna see how they look on Thursday. And I think Thursday presents another unique challenge for them because now you have the mobile quarterback in Jaden Daniels, and that Washington team that again is coming off the season they had last year, and they're a playoff team and they were in the NFC Championship game, so they're gonna want to make a statement against the Packers now.
Exactly. Shout out to Elijah. He says, "Did yesterday make you a believer in Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers?" Hell no. Hell to the no. I don't give a damn what you say. First of all, they gave up was 32 points. The defense gave up 32 points. That ain't never good. The defense is giving up 32 points. And this was a situation where Aaron Rodgers wanted to make people in the Jets, within the Jets organization, feel like they didn't know what the hell they was doing by not trying to bring Aaron Rodgers back, or whatever the case may be. So he wanted to show out. He played a great game, 4 touchdowns. I haven't seen, I don't know if you have, Eric, but I haven't seen that Aaron Rodgers since he left Green Bay. Okay, no. I haven't seen that in the years, which is why the whole I'm gonna get back against the Jets is kind of stupid because it's like, bruh, you had every opportunity in the world. You just got injured the first year in the first game of the season, didn't get to play at all, and y'all was in there stinking up the joint this past season. So there's no reason for no, you know what I mean? It's not like you got benched for some guy. No, you were bad when you were on the field, and half the time you weren't even on the field because you were injured. So no, and on top of that, it's the Jets. Like, had you ran the numbers up like this, had 4 touchdowns on the Eagles or the Bills, you know what I mean? Like, it might be make me a little bit more of a believer. Say, oh, maybe he still got a little bit left in the tank, but no, I don't believe in the Steelers. I think this is a game where they were playing the Jets, and you gave up 32 points to a Jets offense that had been sorry because you were part of it this whole past season. So no, you did not say anything. Let me see where you guys are about week 6. Then we can revisit this conversation.
I'm not impressed by it because you have to keep in mind so all the points you made, but also Mike Tomlin's a Hall of Fame coach. They've had months to prepare for this game. So to me, that whole game was scripted in terms of the way they wanted to attack the New York Jets, right? Most times you go into a game and you script like the first 15, 20 plays. They probably had 40 or 50 plays scripted out knowing. Because again, you got a month to prepare. So you've been watching a lot of film. You've been watching a lot of what Aaron Glenn likes to do as defensive coordinator. And you come into the game.
Those guys last season.
Right. So you understand certain things about that defense that most outsiders aren't paying attention to. So I don't put too much stock in it. Again, giving up the 32 points to me doesn't sit well for a team that went out and spent all that money on cornerbacks and wanted to become more efficient. Justin Fields looked really good against them yesterday. Yeah. Let's speak, Elijah. Let's see what the Steelers look like in about 3 weeks, and let's see how much we believe in them then.
How far can Fields take the Jets this season?
He can take them up the turnpike right into New York City.
I was about to say 7 wins, maybe.
Yeah, he take them right to Times Square. That's about as far as he's gonna get.
He got an Uber XL.
Yeah. I mean, I don't even know. This question, Elijah, unless you're a Jets fan, Buffalo's clearly the best team in the division. Now, the Jets maybe have an outside shot of being a second-place team because Miami looked like trash yesterday. The Patriots looked bad, and they lost yesterday. So maybe the Jets get to 7 or 8 wins, and they're the second-place team. But that's really about as far as they're going to go. You're not making the playoffs or winning any playoff game with Justin Fields. There's a reason why Justin Fields is on his 3rd team already. You're not getting to that next level.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you said so, and then next week is going to be a test because I want to. Elijah says, "Are the Packers the biggest threat to the Eagles in the NFC?" Again, Eric, you mentioned the opponent from next week, who may also be the biggest competition for the Philadelphia Eagles, and that's Washington, right? You go, you on especially on a short week. If you're Green Bay and you go and beat Washington, who you mentioned were in the NFC Championship game, then I'll say, yeah, you might be the biggest threat to the Philadelphia Eagles because now we would have you coming off of beating a very good Detroit Lions team, maintaining that offense. Then you go and you would now on a short week beat Washington, who were in the NFC Championship game a season ago. I think, yeah, especially because now you got to think too, the more games that get played, the more Micah Parsons is going to get acclimated to this Green Bay Packers defense, and that's going to make them even better. Jordan Love, I think, is a very good quarterback. He doesn't have the legit number 1 wide receiver, but he does have a bunch of good receivers. The problem with the receivers is they just can't seem to stay healthy. If they can stay healthy, Green Bay can be a hell of a problem for anybody in the NFC. But again, I want to wait until let's check this Washington game first. Let's see how that goes. And because I'm gonna say the winner of that game is probably going to be the biggest threat to the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, I think if the Packers win this game, I mean, it's an amazing start to go 2-0 against two playoff teams from last year, and do it again with a quick turnaround, having a Thursday game after a Sunday afternoon game. I don't want to put them in that conversation as the biggest threat just yet because they played twice last year, and the Eagles, they handled them both times. So we got to see in their next matchup how things might be different. And for right now, again, I still think it's Detroit's division until, if we get to week 8, week 9, and Green Bay's running away with the division, then it's something different. But I think Detroit's going to be fine long term. It's just too much talent on that team for me to believe that they're just going to fall apart. You don't go from a team that won 14 games to now you're just going to bottom out and fall apart. They'll figure it out. They're a veteran-laden team. Packers are very, very good. I just don't put them as the biggest threat yet.
G Suave says Dwight Howard was inducted into the Naismith Hall of Fame. Just talk about Dwight's impact because we forgot how good he was in a 5 or 6 year stretch. Before I do that, let me just say this. Next Monday, we're gonna have an Indiana Hall of Famer, another basketball legend, Cheryl Cook will be joining us next Monday evening at 7 o'clock. So y'all get ready for that one. Y'all do your homework now. I know Imani, shout out to Imani. She told me she was already doing the homework. I seen a comment down there too. But yeah, we got another basketball legend joining us. We're gonna talk a little bit about her story, and we're gonna talk WNBA playoffs because by the time she gets here, we'll be the WNBA playoffs will just be getting started. So again, be ready for next week. We got another big guest that's gonna be rocking with us. Now back to Dwight Howard. First and foremost, congratulations to Dwight Howard. Well deserved Hall of Fame. He definitely deserved to be a member of the Hall of Fame. Okay. I mean, just the Orlando years alone would have put him in the Hall of Fame with all the Defensive Player of the Year awards, all the stats, and everything that he accomplished. Obviously, he gets the ring later in his career with the Lakers, which obviously that's always a good thing if you can get a championship ring because we got so many legends that we love that don't have championship rings, and I wish guys like AI, Patrick Ewing, Reggie Miller, I wish guys like that could have got rings, but obviously everybody can't get one of those. But yeah, for Dwight Howard, definitely well deserved. Should have been top 75 on the NBA list. But yeah, congratulations, well deserved.
Definitely well deserved. He was an amazing player during his time. I think his feud with Shaq overshadowed how great he was as a player. I also think that he played in an era where people were expecting him to be more of a traditional big and didn't really appreciate the athleticism that he brought to the game. From the center position, but ultimately, like I said, well deserved and a great player during his time. Multiple time Defense Player of the Year. I believe he had 2 top 5 MVP finishes as well in his career. And like you said, the Orlando days were great. He was still really good during the first Laker run. He was still really good during the Houston run. And then again, the way he was perceived by people in the media kind of shifted the way the rest of his career went after Houston. But and a great contributor to the Lakers championship as well.
Yeah, and let's be clear, Dwight Howard is actually a big part of the reason that the Lakers win that championship.
Absolutely,
because Dwight Howard is the only person that not the only person. I'll say outside of Joel Embiid is the only person that I've seen make Jokic look normal during that playoff series they had. In the bubble for them to get to the championship game. Dwight Howard was the only person that I saw have Jokic looking not like a 3-time MVP, NBA champion, Finals MVP, all of those things. Yeah. So big shout out to Dwight Howard. Eric, who is the USA national team's men's GOAT? Is it Durant or is it Melo?
I lean more towards Melo. I know Durant got the scoring record, but I lean more towards Melo just because of his impact during the Redeem team. Yeah, I'd probably say Melo.
I know Kevin Durant has the points now, but you play long enough, you will. But yeah, Olympic Melo was definitely a thing. So I'm gonna go with Melo as well. Maybe I might have a little bias, but I'm still gonna go with Melo.
Right.
Hoopballer Scoop was good, my guy. He says Angel Reese suspended for saying her Chicago Sky teammates suck. So the Sky had missed yesterday's Aces first half. She could play in the second half, but rumors is she refused to play. Listen, do y'all want Angel Reese to be passionate and focused on basketball, or do y'all want her to be doing other things? Because at the beginning of the season, it was she's doing all these things outside of basketball. Oh, she's doing all this. She's not focused on the game. Then what she do? Come in and set the double doubles record. Come in and run rebounding table. And for all of y'all that like to say, oh, she's only rebounding because she's only leading the league because she's catching her own rebounds. Wrong. She would have been leading the league in rebounds with just her defensive rebounds. So y'all can stop all of the nonsense. And then here we come now. She's basically saying, yeah, step y'all game up. Like y'all lose, y'all losing.
Nah, but she took a shot at her she took a shot at her teammates.
Have they been playing more?
Yeah, but I don't think one has anything to do with the other. I understand your original point about people questioning her passion and her commitment, but one has nothing to do with the other. And she understood that, and that's why she apologized, because it came across as very harsh. She took a jab at her teammates, and I think that's just that's just her being young and not understanding the leadership role that she has on that team.
So when Kobe does it, what do you call it?
Well, when Kobe did it, but when Kobe did it, he wasn't in year 2 of his career. It's the same thing. LeBron has done it too. We've criticized LeBron for doing it when he takes jabs at his team. I'm not talking about when you say, hey, we got to be better. Those are different circumstances. That's different wording. Yeah, that's different. When you say, yo, we got to be better. Yo, we need to do something and be better and elevate ourselves. It's another to be like,
y'all got to be better.
Right. It's another thing when they say, yo, they need to get different players in here. They need to get some other people in here. Then it's like, yo, damn, how? But again, it's one thing to say that when you are a proven, established veteran, and it's another to say when you're 2 years into the league. Because 2 years from now, she might be that role player that's getting talked about.
Yeah. Well, we gonna see, but she got benched, and
I hope the rumors aren't true that she refused to play. I think it's a learning moment and it's an opportunity for her to come in there and say,
that part I'm not with.
Yeah.
Kawhi innocent in the $28 million scandal. I don't know if he's innocent or he's not, because but if that is actually the case where you got players, you got owners that's coming to players and saying, listen, you take a pay cut here so we can fill out the roster, and I'm gonna get you 25-30 million on the back end. Like, that's crazy work, bro.
I don't doubt it, because there's been rumors since he was in San Antonio that his uncle was negotiating side deals.
Yeah.
It was one of the reasons why when he wanted out of San Antonio, you know what I'm saying, they made the deal as quickly as they did, because they knew it was going to be no negotiating with Kawhi. His uncle was basically saying, whatever you get Kawhi, I got to get a percentage too. So I would not be surprised if they did tell Steve Ballmer that, yo, you want him to stay here, you're gonna have to make something happen.
Yeah. I obviously I'm not gonna condemn you 100% until I see the proof, but because of the situation and who the players are involved, I wouldn't be surprised if that happened.
I'm not, but the reason I'm not surprised, and I'm gonna use a cross-sport reference on this. When Juan Soto signed with the Mets, and it's in the article, you can look it up on ESPN, when he talked about that Steve Cohen was already speaking to him about business dealings, that he could make more money away from the game and how to invest his money. So I'm sure that all these owners go to them and say, hey, look, on the books, this is what we can do on the books. But away from this, we could probably allocate 10 to 20 million in this investment deal that I know is going to double and triple your money over here and get you even more money. So on the cap, we're going to do this. Look at Ohtani's deal. Ohtani's deal is damn near everything is deferred.
Yeah. That's a crazy one.
So you telling me that money just sitting in a bank account waiting for him? No, the Dodgers are probably investing that for him, and they're gonna give him an even larger lump sum of money when it's time to pay out.
Exactly. Will Gordon says, my Chargers finally beat Kansas City, despite the NFL screwing us, making the Brazil game a home game for us. Although KC is way closer to Brazil than LA. Oh my goodness. Well, what? You know what? All I'm gonna say is congratulations, man. The Chargers got that win. It was a good win. Kansas City looked like they got a lot of holes they need to fill.
Yeah.
And it doesn't help that now they're They didn't have a legit number one receiver, period. But the number twos that they had, both top two number twos, are both going to be out for a little while.
First of all, Will, even if y'all played in LA, y'all wasn't gonna have the home field advantage. The Chargers don't even have fans in LA. Most of them games in LA, the other team turns out more than the Chargers fans do. That's first. Good win. Good win. We talked about it. Jay Herbo had to play good in this game. He had to finally kind of get over the hump. I feel like he did that with that performance, and it sets the stage for the rest of the season now because the Chiefs have to play catch up to the Chargers. But other than that, I think if anything, the Brazil situation probably worked in your favor because, yeah, it was more red, but most of the crowd ain't know what the fuck was going on anyway. Part of my language. So it was almost like a neutral site scrimmage because the Brazil fans ain't understand what was going on anyway.
First of all, from what I heard about Brazil, everybody was at home. But that's the story for another day.
Everybody seemed to be a little bit worn out. The crowd didn't have as much energy as you would normally get in the
It was
NFL
like
game.
it was like the White House.
Right.
If y'all watch the Cowboys documentary, I know what I'm talking about.
You got to get familiar.
Exactly. Okay. Imani says, congrats to Maya Moore on getting put in the Hall of Fame. Did y'all see her recreate the Michael Jordan picture with all the rings? That was dope. Yes, I did. First of all, I love that. I love the picture. But shout out to Maya Moore. She is a legend. She's one of the greatest to ever do it. Gotta love her going into the Hall of Fame. You gotta give her flowers. She definitely deserves it. She's got the championships. She's got the stats. Pretty much everything you want. Maya Moore has done it, and she's done it on every level at an elite level. So again, congratulations to Maya Moore. Well deserved.
Absolutely, definitely well deserved. The photo was dope. The recreation was fire. But definitely kudos to the legend.
All right, let me go to this next one. Hold on. All right, let's see. Hoop Central says he's the real deal. Baker on Emeka Egbuka. I mean, one good, but you're supposed to support your brothers on the field like that. So you know what I'm saying? Yeah, I love it.
I drafted Emeka in our fantasy draft. Kudos to me. It was a great time for me, Trip. Y'all, I don't know if you saw this. Yahoo Sports they heavily criticized my draft, Trip. They said I'm only going to win 2 games this year. We already off to a 1-0 start. That's neither here nor there. But Emeka was great at Ohio State. He's a record holder at Ohio State. I think this is a great situation for him because you got Mike Evans, who's the veteran, who's starting to slowly fade out. Chris Godwin is injured right now, so you're going to get a lot of playing time. Same thing with McMillan, who did not play yesterday. So it's a great opportunity for him to develop the rapport with Baker Mayfield. And then when they do get Godwin back, Emeka slides into that natural spot of the third receiver, even though he'll still play on the outside because they may use Godwin more on the inside. But then it becomes more of a natural fit where you have the veterans kind of leading the team, but you have this young kid who's dynamic and can make all the plays. And you saw that yesterday. I thought him and Baker aren't even on the same page yet. But the 2 throws that Baker makes to him for touchdowns, those are 2 of the better throws you're ever going to see. I mean, you're talking about right on the money in coverage, and the young man was not phased going across the middle of the field to make those catches. I thought he had a really strong performance to start his career.
Shout out to Baker, too, because he made his way out the dungeon in Cleveland.
I remember when we were live, when we used to be live in studio, I wanted the Giants to take Baker. Obviously, he wasn't on the board. But I always liked Baker, and I like the way that he's handled the progression of his career. He handled the criticism. He never blamed the organization. He had every right to be salty because I thought Cleveland did not do right by him. In his couple years there, he played for 3 different head coaches. Then he got pushed out the door for Deshaun Watson. We see how that's working out for Cleveland. And he reinvented himself. And now he is a Pro Bowl caliber quarterback. He's probably a top 12 quarterback in the league right now. And he's got the Bucs looking good. There are some people who feel the Bucs could compete for a Super Bowl this year.
Well, definitely going to win the division. That's for sure. All right, Kyrie says Crawford Canelo fight. Who y'all got? First of all, fight of the year is going down this Saturday evening. I'm torn because I feel like I don't want to bet against Bud Crawford, but The fact that he's going up in weight to fight Canelo, who's comfortable at that weight, I feel like Canelo has the edge in the fight. But I just don't want to bet against Bud Crawford because not to say that Canelo can't, but I haven't seen anybody pick Crawford apart. And I've seen Canelo on more than one occasion, get his ass whooped. So I'm gonna go Crawford, but I'm not mad at you if you say Canelo.
I feel like whoever you go for here, you're gonna feel bad about it come Saturday, no matter what side you choose to go with.
Yeah.
I'm conflicted. I'm still conflicted. I'll probably make my final prediction at some point later this week before the fight. But on one hand, I do feel like the weight will be an issue. I just think that there's a reason why there's weight classes in boxing. And to go up that many levels to fight the best guy at that level, that's a lot, bro. I mean, it's not like you're taking some cupcake at 168. You're taking the best fighter at 168 and pound for pound, one of the best fighters in the sport. At a weight class that he's not only very comfortable in, at a weight class that he's been very destructive in. And for Bud,
you're not comfortable at that weight,
right? And that you have not fought at that weight. And my biggest concern for Bud isn't the skills, because I know he has the skills. My biggest concern is how is his body going to respond as the fight goes on and he starts taking punches, because he's going to get hit at some point in this fight. And until you've been in that moment, you don't know how your body's going to respond. So that's my biggest fear. On the flip side, though, I've always been big on you take the more skilled boxer over the puncher. And even though Canelo's a skilled boxer, he's not as skilled as Bud. Bud is the prototypical, footwork, jab, set up big time power punches. And I know Bud can do all those things. Again, my concern is just what does his body look like by the 7th round?
Yeah, that's why I think we're gonna have to go by. It ain't the size of the dog in the fight; it's the size of the fight in the dog.
Yeah.
And we're gonna see who got more fight in them this Saturday night. Get your popcorn ready, ladies and gentlemen. Either way, it's gonna be a great fight.
I'm gonna say this because I know we're gonna talk about it on Wednesday too, but it'll be interesting to see if Bud just tries to start off really fast and then pace himself the rest of the fight, because Canelo's known as a slow starter. So if you're Bud, you could go into it and say, look, let's go out and win the first 4 or 5 rounds right away. And then then I can just fight off my back foot and make Canelo come to me, as opposed to me having to go to Canelo. Because if he has to go to Canelo, that's where it's going to get dangerous.
Yeah, I agree. Hope Central says, salute to the 2008 USA men's team for getting in the Hall of Fame. I mean, you got to love it. Those are all my guys, man. Unfortunately, one member of the squad is no longer with us, so he couldn't be there to get his second, would have been his second induction into the Hall of Fame. Rest in peace, Kobe. But for the rest of the team, again, that whole team, well deserved. USA got embarrassed. We're just gonna flat out say it. Team USA got embarrassed in 2004, which was why we needed the Redeem Team. And they went out there and they did what they were supposed to do. Congratulations, fellas.
I think that's why, to the previous question, I probably hold Melo in higher regard than Durant in terms of Team USA GOAT, because Melo was Melo, if not the second best player on the Redeem Team, he definitely was the third best player. It was pretty much Kobe, LeBron, and Melo. And Melo kind of was a big part of turning things around for the Redeem Team and Team USA. So I think I look at his time with Team USA differently than Durant.
All right, let me go to talk about Carmelo Anthony's career overall. And he too gets in the Hall of Fame this past weekend. It was about 4 years he played for no one, or it's even that way. First of all, Melo is one. This is the Basketball Hall of Fame, first and foremost, right? That's why so many people get in anyway. But you got to think Melo was a champion at damn near every level, except for the NBA. Obviously, we know he didn't get to the ring there. But what he did accomplish during his time, he's got the All NBA appearances, he's got the scoring title, he's got the All-Star games, he's got the stats. You know what I'm saying? And when you combine all of those things together with Olympic Melo and what he's able to accomplish, in the Olympics, obviously there's no debating. He's a hands down first ballot Hall of Famer. One of the best scorers that this game has ever seen. Somebody that can, when you want to talk about scoring at any level on the basketball court, you're talking about Carmelo Anthony. He's one of the hardest guys to defend, which is, and this is not me saying that, this is coming from his peers who I've heard several of them say that Melo is one of the hardest players they have ever had to guard. And that's multiple players, from center to point guard that have said Melo is one of the hardest guys you will ever have to guard on a basketball court. Obviously, I wish Melo could have got a ring before he left the NBA. That didn't happen. But I mean, we're talking about one of the greatest of all time. Definitely should have been top 70, 75. Every accolade that he gets, he deserves it. And he got a double right now, too.
Yeah, I think without a doubt, Melo deserves all the accolades. It's unfortunate that we're at this very unique point in sports coverage where if you're not playing for championships, you kind of get overlooked. And Melo, towards the tail end of his career, that's what it became. You know, when everybody was joining up and creating super teams, and those teams were getting the publicity, Melo wasn't. So people forgot how great Melo was. I think the players in the league that played against him will all acknowledge he was one of the greatest players of all time, one of the most gifted scorers of all time in the NBA. And I know, like we always say, it's the Naismith Hall of Fame. Even if it was just his NBA career, he would have made it in because he was that good of an NBA player. So to me, Melo deserves that, and I think he deserves more because I've seen people criticize Melo online. That's become the cool thing to do now. And I saw Melo even address somebody. He was very respectful, but somebody tried to make it seem like, oh, Melo, if Melo wasn't all about his money, he would have won a championship. It's like, yo, bro, first of all, you don't know what them conversations are like behind the scenes.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, to make it seem like, oh, he just chose money over winning. No, you don't know what them conversations are like behind the scenes. That's first. Secondly, everybody points to the Heedle situation. When Braun, Bosh, and Wade went down there, and it's been discussed that they wanted Melo to be there. Melo, all the players, but Melo was in a tough situation because the NBA was getting ready to go on strike. And if he didn't accept this contract, he's talked about it. If he didn't accept this contract, he ran the risk of being a free agency during strike and not knowing what the future held for players. So that's why he ended up signing his contract earlier than Braun and those guys. Had he waited, he would have been a free agent. He probably could have signed down there. Now, that's not to say that they would have won. Who knows if they would have won, right? Yeah. Who knows? Maybe him and Braun just couldn't play together at that point. But
they both play the same position. So
right, they both play the same position. And Carmelo, to me, would have been too good to take the Chris Bosh role. Yeah. Carmelo was just too good at that point in his career to just take that role on at 24, 25 years old. You know what I'm saying? So maybe it never worked out anyway. But again, people love to criticize because it's easy to either you're great or you're a bum. And that this generation of fans, that's how they view everything. It's like if you ain't great, you had to be a bum. It's like, nah, there's a lot of great players who maybe just didn't win. But Carmelo Anthony's one of those greats.
Thanks. Imani has a message for Miss Cook. She says, hey, Miss Cheryl Cook, I'm ready for you next week, LOL. I'm so in love with three legends from the 80s telling their stories. I hope more old school legends come on. I want Teaspoon bad, LOL. Well, yeah, Teaspoon has been on the show, but we're gonna get her back eventually. Shout out to the legend, one of the legends herself, Tina Hutchinson. What it do, my brothers? Tina, let me just say this. I mean, even though I told you over the phone this was going to happen, I said Alabama was going to come back, blow this school out this week and think they was doing something, but they still got a lot to prove for us. But salute to you, Tina. Nothing but love for you.
That's a fact. Shout out to Tina. Hope you're doing well.
G Suave says the Caitlyn mob doesn't care about her health. They're just mad they can't use her as their symbol for white agreements.
Here we go.
Anyone until next season, former NBA player Etan Thomas. Oh, this is what Etan Thomas said about her?
I'm assuming, when I read it in the comments, I'm assuming this is what Etan said. And this is exactly why there's this divisive media agenda. Because for whatever reason, shout out to Etan Thomas, he had a solid NBA career. I know he's doing this thing in journalism, but this is exactly the divisive type of coverage that we've become now. Now it's the Caitlyn mob doesn't care about her health. Says who?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they won her on the court. So, that one is I'm not feeling that one.
Right.
But I do wish Caitlyn
Now,
Clark speedy recovery.
of course, but come on, like Eton Thomas, come on, that's a very unfair statement to make. You know what I'm saying? Because now what you do is you create the hate towards Caitlyn Clark. She got no control over what other people say about her or how they try to use her for an agenda.
Yeah, but you make it seem that way. That's the narrative.
Right. Yeah, now you create a narrative they want to use her for white grievances and white supremacy. Come on, man.
Yes, you out of pocket. Shout out to John. He says, did you all see Carmelo Anthony saying to LeBron, give it a break and come on and retire? It's time. Well, obviously that's his boy. He was just joking. But I mean, listen, if Braun was a top top 50 right now, I'd be like, you know what? Yeah, go ahead and retire, Braun. But the fact that he's still top 10 is like, if you want to play, let him play. Who the hell cares? Why are you mad at him for wanting to stay at his job? When you want to stay at your job and make as much money as possible, when you mad at Braun because he want to stay and play basketball, he's still good at it. Until he's not good, then that's it.
I think Melo's on to something though, because we got to be honest, Trip. We know you either die the hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
Well, he's been the villain before. We know that.
No. But the last couple of years, and we've seen it in the comment section. People who love LeBron, it's like, oh, I'm sick of him. I'm tired. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And he's been the villain because he's been the best player in the league for so long. But now he's starting to become the villain because it's starting to become annoying. And that's what I meant about the narrative, how the narrative around players starts to change, because then it becomes like we've seen it in the comments say, oh, LeBron don't affect winning no more. Like, all right, but how long was he supposed to affect winning?
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? It wasn't enough that he affected winning for 15 years. Now, because he hasn't affected winning for the last 5 years, now we want to use that against him. You know what I'm saying? So that's the point that I think Melo's trying to hint at too. Like you get to the point where now you become the villain, and people then start to focus more on that aspect as opposed to everything you contributed to the game of basketball.
Yeah. So yeah. It is what it is. Let's see. A Hoopball School said Trip was Jokic, the Jokic he is now in 2020. So did Dwight get the MVP? Jokic? No, Jokic wasn't an MVP, but Dwight also wasn't prime Dwight Howard. He was way past his prime in LA. So if anything, that would have put them on the even playing scale.
Joker was still ascending. Joker was still becoming the MVP. I believe Joker won MVP 2 years after that, right? Because I think because Giannis won it in 2021, I believe, and then Joker got it in 2022, something like that. So he was he MVP? No, but that doesn't diminish.
He was still averaging 26, 10 and 8 that year though, 1.3 bills. So it wasn't like he was no slouch. Now it wasn't rookie season Jokic that he got.
Dwight and JaVale McGee, if those two guys are not on that Laker team, they would have had a lot more trouble beating Denver because AD could not handle Joker. They needed Dwight and JaVale McGee. They needed the two bigs to kind of bracket him and wear him down. Yeah.
So shout out to Dwight. Will Gordon, Tanks Bigsby traded to fit. Wait, they traded
the running back Tank Bigsby from Jacksonville. I guess this is probably more about Travis Etienne had a really good game yesterday. Maybe they feel like he's completely healthy.
Yeah, because Well, listen, it is. I mean, not that Philly needed it, but I mean, who knows the amount that Saquon put last year, and then trying to run that again. You're gonna need some help giving them breaks. And Tank Bigsby is a good backup, so I'm not even mad at that for Philly. Do you all like the new Gill show with Skip Bayless? I thought he was going for good. Skip, you managed to climb up out of the grave, Skip. I actually do like it. I ain't gonna hold you. I like Gilbert Arenas show. Sometimes it takes me a while, but I like the basketball show. I like the football show. What I've seen of it. Skip Bayless talking football. At least he's not hating on LeBron every 5 seconds, so I can actually deal with it. Because I actually do think that Skip Bayless is good at what he does. I just think that he takes the hate to the extreme in cases like LeBron James, and he takes the love to the extreme with cases like Tom Brady, where it's just like, all right, bro, come on. You know what I mean? But other than that, I think Skip Bayless is one of the best in media, period. And I've said that, plenty of times.
I agree as well. Skip, I think the wild takes and the antics kind of overshadow the knowledge of the game. If you can kind of listen, he gives some good insight, and he knows what he's talking about. But obviously the other outlandish stuff, and like you said, the extreme takes of Tim Tebow or LeBron James, things like that, where he's just so far left or so far right with the take that it makes it tough for you to really stand him in that space. But super knowledgeable. But it's funny we have been talking about it, because I don't know if you saw it. There's a clip with him and Aqib Talib going back and forth in regards to Brady and Belichick. And Aqib Talib made a great point that we've made before, where he said, I don't know. He talked about what Belichick was like in the locker room. And he said, if not for Belichick holding Tom accountable, he goes, I don't know if Tom would have ever became that level of great. He goes, he was great, but Bill Belichick wouldn't kiss his ass. Bill Belichick would still highlight the mistakes he made, and they kept pushing Tom Brady. He goes, if you get another coach in there who's patting him on the back all the time, Tom might have got satisfied after the first 2 Super Bowls and never strives to be great. And when Skip tries to say, well, who was the real leader of that locker room? And Keith goes, Vince Wilfork. He goes, no, it was Tom Brady. He goes, no, I was in that locker room. Vince Wilfork was the leader. He goes, when we used to come in from practice, Tom would be in the coaches meeting. Tom wouldn't be with us in the locker room. He goes, now, when we get on the field, obviously, we look at Tom as the leader. He's the quarterback. He said, but if you asking me what it was like, day to day, Tom wasn't a leader in the locker room either. Yeah. And Skip trying to argue with Aqib, like Aqib wasn't in the fucking locker room. Yeah, that's trying to tell this man, like, come on, bro, how you going to argue him?
That's what takes away from the greatness of Skip Bayless as a media personality, because how you going to tell this man what's going on in the locker room that he is in? Right. And you may have got into a locker room once or twice as media, but he is in the locker room during times that there ain't no media around. I think he is the perfect person to say who the hell was a leader in that locker room and who wasn't.
Right.
So, but again, I do like the show though. So shout out to those guys. Shout out to Gil, man. Gil doing this thing in the media. You can't be mad. Tina sends her love. Sending that right back to you, Tina. We always appreciate you. We definitely gonna get you back soon too. Eric, let's get into the final thought segment.
All right, final thought. First and foremost, as always, shout out to all the supporters. We greatly appreciate it. Shout out to my brother Will Gordon. We're gonna be back on Wednesday. Trip, you already know. Pull up. We making picks, and we got to talk a little bit about this fight on Saturday. So Wednesday, 7:30. I got to redeem
myself too on Wednesday, so I'm definitely pulling up.
So this week, you went 8. Going into tonight, I believe. Hold on, let me double check. You was 8-7. 8-7. So we're gonna go over all the picks on Wednesday as well, and then look at where everybody's record was. Will Gordon was on fire, bro. Will, I hope you followed your picks. Will, going into tonight, you are 12-3 from week 1. On fire. So I hope you follow those picks and won some money.
I know I'm not no 12-3.
Nah. You told you was 8-7. You 8-7. You win tonight. If you got the Vikings tonight. I'm the only one that got the Bears tonight. The rest of you guys got the Vikings tonight. So we'll see how that plays out.
You guys are looking forward to Wednesday.
And I know we didn't get to it because the game just started, but I was going to give you a player prop that I really liked tonight. The player prop was going to be Aaron Jones. They got his over-under on receiving yards at 11.5. I would take the over. He's gone over that number in his last 4 games against the Bears. And with a young quarterback like J.J. McCarthy, expect some dumb-down passes as well. So I would have taken him on that. That was going to be my pick. Other than that, man, we appreciate y'all support, man, and we look forward to seeing y'all on Wednesday.
I'm gonna just make my final thought. If you're out here gambling, make sure you bet with your head, not your heart. All right,
that's a fact.
Because you will go broke and lose a lot of money. All right. So with that being so, and as always, thank you to all the supporters. We truly appreciate y'all. Y'all motivate us every week to keep this thing going. Y'all keep sending them comments in every week, and we're going to keep doing what we do, and we're going to keep bringing y'all some dope-ass guests, throughout the year, because that's what we do. With that being said, make sure you're following us on all our social media, Instagram, Twitter, @RealFanTalk, Facebook.com/RealFansRealTalk, and, of course, subscribe to that YouTube channel, YouTube.com/ForTheFansProductions. If you're not in New York City and you can't get to us on Verizon 43, 8 to 9 p.m. on Thursday nights. Don't worry, all you got to do is hit that website, realfansrealtalk.com. Click the red button on the home page, and you can watch from anywhere in the world. And, make sure you subscribe to the two best podcasts moving. That's the Sanchez Show podcast and the Real Fans Real Talk podcast. And y'all be ready for Cheryl Cook, because, again, we got another basketball legend joining us next week. With that being said, for myself, Trip Young, my brother, my co-host, Eric Sanchez, a.k.a. Legend in Two Games, we up out of here. Peace.